A serial killer with a pilot's license, never a good thing. One night in Anchorage, Alaska, a truck driver was just cruising along when he spotted a handcuffed and partially dressed young woman running down the highway for her life. So he pulled over, she jumps in, and once she was eventually safe and sound with police, boy did she have a story to tell. To Cindy Paulson, Robert Hansen was just another John. Even as a sex worker encountering the kind of freaks that one would, Hansen never set off any alarm bells to Cindy when he coaxed her into his vehicle. In fact, he didn't set off any alarm bells to anyone. He had a wife, 2 kids, ran his own bakery. He was a recognizable, seemingly non-threatening member of society. Hell, even the cops would stop on into Bob's Bakery for frequent donut powwows. Another thing about Hansen, loved hunting, was known for it, setting multiple local hunting records, which later is gonna come right the hell into play. So anyway, people knew him, but no one in town actually knew about Bob the Baker's dark past. He'd abducted and assaulted women before, but after some pretty lenient sentencing and a quick release, he swept his past under the rug and just got a whole lot more terrifyingly careful. Women had been disappearing around Alaska for years. Some of them were sex workers, exotic dancers, and unfortunately there was just kind of this thought like, oh, they probably just left town or something. Bodies would also turn up from time to time, but they weren't sure for a while if it was all being done by one person. Once Cindy was in Hansen's car, she was cuffed, held at gunpoint, and driven to his home, and after hours of doing just the worst stuff imaginable to her, he told her that he was going to take her to his cabin. Of course, his cabin was in such a remote location that it was only really accessible via plane. Well, he had that. So he drove her out to his plane, and when he was loading stuff into the cockpit, that's when she was able to make her big escape. After Cindy's whole ordeal, she was able to lead police right to Hansen's plane, which led them to Hansen. At his property, they found a bunch of evidence that linked him to unsolved murders, including trophies and a map with 37 X's drawn on it. Once Hansen realized he had nowhere to run, he started to spill the beans, and he kind of floored investigators. He told them that he'd been flying women out into the remote Alaskan wilderness since 1971, and the reason he was flying them out there, it was so that he could turn them loose into the massive freezing void of unpopulated wilderness, give them a sizable head start. Then, armed with his rifle and his big hunting knife, he would set out for hours and sometimes days, slowly hunting them down like wild game.